You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Fred Wolf is here. He's
Nice.
in the Zoom. Hey, Fred. Oh, he's connecting his audio. Hi, Fred. I think his audio is off. I swear to the folks, Fred Wolf is here.
Maybe he just doesn't want to talk to you.
No.
Oh, hi, Fred.
Oh, I did it. You have no idea how crazy this is. There's some. Remember you were telling me a few years ago about your Asperger's or whatever it is?
Yeah.
I got it. And I fucking slaughter you when it comes to that shit. So one place. Wait, sorry. I'm so sorry, you guys. Is it Alan?
No, this is Victor Pacheco. He's the new trusty sidekick.
Hey, how you doing? Great to meet you.
How do you know he's trusty though? Hey,
Oh.
Victor, how are you? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm pretty Mexican. Sorry. No.
Oh, dang.
No, I've known Keith since right before the pandemic. So we've known each other for some years. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry to be doing this. Let me just say this. First of all, Victor, nice to meet you. But
Great to meet you too.
Keith or Victor, what do I do here? One place for all your okay. I clicked this. I had 3 brothers.
Uh-huh.
One killed himself a few years ago, so there's that. But 2 of them are computer geniuses, and the other 2 are me. And I don't know if I'm doing this right. I'm clicking that away. Everything's good, right? You can see
Yeah.
me?
Oh, everything's perfect.
Yeah, I hear you. I just released the audio, so that's all. That's all. So you're good.
Oh, so the audio is your fault on your side? No.
No.
was my
We're good. No,
It was
But-
Keith's fault for sure.
but
Definitely
no.
Keith's fault.
I
Definitely.
gotta be right, Victor.
Right.
Victor,
I got your back. I got
We
your
gotta
back.
talk. We gotta talk, Victor. You and I.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But Fred, Victor and I wanted to say something before we start for you. So, ready?
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Fred Wolf. Happy birthday to you.
You know what? That's actually really nice. That really was. I don't have any jokes for that. I don't have any tag on it. That's just nice.
We practiced that all morning. All morning. See how synchronized we were.
I had to learn the words to the song Happy Birthday.
Who wrote? Which one of you wrote the words for it? Though?
I have no idea. It's just like, I think my mom sang this to me once.
I was pretending like you guys wrote that song, but so now here's the thing: is you guys, I'm so happy to be here, and as Keith knows, Victor, I was going to maybe do it on Monday, but then I'm moving one daughter into Pierce College where she's playing basketball. The other daughter is in Sacramento working for the FBI full time, which I'm flabbergasted. The whole thing I'm flabbergasted. And then I have my oldest daughter's dog right here, this pug. I just got him back from the place, the Suds and Scissors place. He was a rescue dog, and he's the greatest dog in the world. But I just ran into the house, and then I was on phone with both my daughters saying, "Hey, how do I do the Zoom? How do I do the Zoom?" Because they always do this stuff for me. And they both said, "You got to learn this. You got to learn how to do this on your own and call us back and tell us how you're doing." I didn't know how to call them back. Not only did I not know how to call them back on the same phone I'm using on the Zoom, but also I need to what's your password when you sign on to AOL?
Right.
I needed to redo my password.
Oh, you log in.
Yeah.
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 Why do I not know how to do this stuff?
What it is that it needs to be set up so every time, like, you don't have to re-log in. You just press the button and you're right back on the website.
Right.
Like but for security reasons, sometimes people set it up like with my dad. It's just like, no, that you can only use it this one time, and then you got to do it next time. But he doesn't know how to use a cell phone. He got his phone on lock mode. He's like, how come my iPad won't turn over the other way? Then I'm like, hold on, just down button, flip. And he's like, how did you do that? I'm like, Jesus Christ. And he's like, you did it with so much ease. It was like, I was just like, yeah, I'm a wizard. Ooh.
So first of all, it's really nice of you to say it was your dad and not your granddad. But it's
Yeah.
not just on my part, it's not just age stuff. It's really truly, I don't know I can't, I don't have the language for it or whatever. And
Yeah.
I kind of get it how somebody could really not be that great at anything, but maybe there's one thing that they're okay at, and that would be me. Keith, you have Asperger's, right?
Yeah. I actually have a solution to this for you.
Ooh.
Yeah. So here's the solution. Hire me to be your assistant.
No,
Problem solved.
you got that rhythm. You got that Norm Macdonald rhythm. It's great.
Oh yeah.
There's something about that rhythm that is just so perfect for comedy, and you got it. And by the way, you can have it now. He doesn't need it.
Yeah. I opened up for him for 9 years, and when he died, I called 3 people, Victor Pacheco, Bob Saget, and Fred Wolf. And you, Fred Wolf, were the one that sent me to voicemail.
Oh, dang. But as you probably can guess, I didn't send you to voicemail. It went to voicemail.
Yeah.
I don't know what a phone is. I don't know how to answer stuff. Man, that's a good trio. Victor being right here. Was Victor, did you know him or
No, Victor is just one of my best friends, and like that day was just, because I opened up for Norm for 9 years, and like he was like my father figure, and I still have a hard time, coping with that. So
that was a rough one because Vox, you know what Vox is, where you could press a button. It's like a walkie-talkie. This is the one thing I know that a lot of people don't know about Vox. It's like this walkie-talkie thing. And I had, I had Voxes from him right up until but one of the second last Vox was, "Where are you? Where are you? You're not Vox me back here, was it?" And thank God there was one more after that one.
Yeah.
Thank God, because I was going, oh, see, by holding up, sorry guys, by holding up the phone to you, something made them all shake. Every app shake, and you know what I mean? Like they wanted to.
Oh yeah, no, that's you accidentally pressed it. So like it's like, do you want to remove these apps?
Exactly.
Like, it has a minus sign right there, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Keith, I can see why you called Victor, by the way. Now, see, speaking of Norm, honestly, guy, Norm is one of the few guys that made me feel better about this complete and total crazy lack of like awareness of anything. Is he had it too? He had it really bad. So you guys, obviously, Keith knows this. He doesn't drive. He never drove. He never had. He didn't have his.
Oh, he had me drive him everywhere.
Yeah, and I'll tell you a quick story. You want to hear a quick story?
Yeah.
About Norm?
Yeah.
Okay, so Norm, I was living in Hollywood, and this is pre-kids. My wife was there, and Norm calls me. He says, "Hey, I'm coming to your house there." And I go, "Yeah, okay, cool. How you getting here?" He goes, "I'm getting a ride up there." And I go, "Oh, who's giving you a ride?" He goes, "Hey, don't know. I'll be there in a moment. I just come up there, house there." And I go, "Well, yeah, okay, that's cool. That's cool. Who's giving you a ride?" And he goes, "Don't mind. Just I'm coming up to your house. What's the big deal? Like I'm coming to your house and ride in a car. You ever hear of a car?" I go, "Yeah, but who's giving you a ride?" Because Norm, he's got some sketchy friends.
Yeah.
And giving you a ride, and he goes, "It doesn't matter." He really dug in. And I go, "Okay, well, you can't come by then until you tell me." He goes, "All right, Elle McPherson." And
oh my God.
Yeah. So I said, "Well, no. So who is it really?" And he goes, "I'm coming up," and as it comes out, it was Elle McPherson.
Whoa.
Giving him a ride.
Oh.
And so I said to my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, I go, "Hey, Norm's here." "Okay." Down the hall. He got a ride from a friend. "Okay." "It's Elle McPherson." No. She came out. She goes, "I'm not sitting next to Elle McPherson." So you go, Elle, me. Not doing it, Fred.
So I have to ask you this, because I forgot to ask you the first time, and Norm actually listened to it, and he actually got on to me, and then he retold me the story. I don't remember word for word what it was, but he told me that he was like, "Hey, you forgot to ask him about a black sheep," and I was like, "Okay," and then he told me the story that you wrote the movie, and then like the director didn't like you and then kept on firing you and stuff. and like he told me this story, and then he's like, I think she just wanted to fuck Fred. So I mean, I don't know what the exact question is, but is that like kind of the, I guess it's a cool story. I don't know. Is that a good question?
Well, I don't. She definitely didn't want to have sex and stuff. Yeah, she's out of my class. So out of my. That's the good thing about knowing that girls don't like me is I get to sit there and say, okay, I don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. But he was not my favorite director ever. I was a writer. It was my second movie, and I don't know how much I can say or not say, but I was fired off that movie 3 times.
Oh
and
my gosh!
First time Farley put me back on. The second time Lauren Michaels put me back on, and the third time the studio put me back on. But I don't know what. All said and done, anything can happen in show business where this is her opening line to me, and I'm not making this up, is she wanted to come meet up and talk about the script for Black Sheep. And I had done Tommy Boy, most of the work on Tommy Boy. And she sat down in this lounge chair and she goes, hi, I'm Penelope. And I go, hey, nice to meet you. I'm Fred. And she goes, I just want to say we could do better than Tommy Boy on this one. I go, oh, really? Okay, great. Because I didn't like Tommy Boy. I didn't think it was that great. I go, oh, okay, well, that's okay. I guess, what didn't you like about it? She goes, everything. So I think we could start over and just reimagine this. And this script isn't it. And so that was my first meeting with her. And it went downhill after that. Like that was the high point. But I think Norm might have been, he knows about this other stuff that happened that is actually one of the greatest stories ever, but I can't tell it because
Oh,
I don't want anyone to feel bad about anything that they hear. But you know, I could be the moron. I might be the one that maybe the script wasn't funny, maybe it really wasn't, and all that sort of stuff. And maybe she was right. But yeah, it can be tough, huh? This showbiz.
But
You really didn't like Tommy Boy? She didn't like Tommy Boy?
That was her
Tommy
opening
Boy was
line.
great.
That was her opening
That
line.
was one of the greatest movies of all time. I'm not just saying that because you hear that. I just watched that movie with my mom. And like, you know, English is her second language, and you know, she's an immigrant and she loves that movie, you know. It's like I don't understand how that person didn't like that movie.
Oh, thank you. I mean, that's really nice to hear.
No, it's a beautiful movie. It's like really it's sweet too. It's funny and it's sweet.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that, because the only reason why Black Sheep was getting made is because Tommy Boy, it did really well and people seemed to like it. But it was just a weird thing for her to open with because she's adversarial from the very beginning. And I also wanted to know what were her bona fides, like what was her background in comedy. It wasn't much, if anything. Yeah. And then suddenly telling, not just me, but she was telling Farley and Spade and all those guys that it wasn't funny, and we thought it was. So it was just a weird opening line. But, you know, it turned out fine, you know?
Yeah. It turned out great for you because now, you know, years later, you got Joe Dirt 2 and Joe Dirt 1 and then Dirty Work, and then you got all, and then she's like, where's she? You know what I mean? Like, so that's like, you know what I mean? No, it turned out for the best. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's really nice to you say that. I that's really nice. And hopefully she's doing great. Hopefully she's doing really well. I know she's got a big old house and that's all great. And I want her to be happy, but that was unhappy times for me. But Farley, Spade, and myself, we all bonded together. We actually kind of, you know, forced us together. Not forced us. We were fine being together. Clothes were on, the whole thing. But it was us against her, kind of, you know, and sometimes that brings out the competitive instincts in all comics. You know how we are.
Yeah, that's the part of the business I don't like. I just like making people laugh and, you know, stuff like that. I don't like the business drama side. Like that, when that happens, I'm just like, let's move on, you know?
I so agree with you on that. And plus, I always wonder if I'm handling it right or if I'm saying the wrong thing, because a lot of times I just sort of say what's on my mind. And then a lot of times it's really stupid what comes out of my mouth. I get it, you know? So, but this time it was her fault.
Yeah. At least one of the times she fired you is her fault. Let's agree on that, right?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, she's the one who fired me all 3 times. So it's
because Meatloaf saying 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So you got that for you.
That was a great song. That was a good song.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay, that was
he was the most like bravest man of all time because he cries icicles instead of tears.
That would hurt, right? You're saying, right? That would hurt. Yeah.
You know how hard it is to cry icicles?
What, speaking of the 70s, which I guess we are, what are your guys like? What influenced you comedy wise? Was it guys like Norm, or was it 70s guys, or what, 60s, or what?
So yeah, Norm was the first comic I ever saw. And how when I wanted to become a stand-up comic, I watched the Young Comedian special like on the TV, and I had Dennis Miller, Spade, who's one of my favorites of all time.
Sorry,
And
Dennis. Sorry, Keith, Dennis was hosting this one, right?
yeah.
Yeah, right.
And Drake Sather, who was great, and Fred Stoller.
Yes. Yeah.
And I just remember Fred was just so funny on that, you know.
Fred
And
Stoller. Yeah.
so like that really got me into it. And then I was like, oh, I want to do comedy. And then like with my Asperger's, I was very nonverbal. And I think I told you this before, when I met Norm, like I stalked Norm for like, I don't know, 10 years before I became his friend. And then, you know, that's how that friendship started. And you just, you know, so that's how that happened.
Oh, I loved Norm's stand-up, and we knew each other from stand-up comedy. And then this is a true story. Is that I started out at Saturday Night Live as a guest writer, and that means you go in for 2 weeks and they just sort of see what you got and whatever. But even for that, you have to meet with Lorne Michaels to do the guest writer thing. So I went by for the meeting. It was supposed to be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever. And it was literally 2 hours I was waiting out there, but I couldn't care less because I was in Lorne's outer office. I was in the Mighty Saturday Night Live, and I'm sitting there, and Chris Rock, I'm totally name dropping here. I don't care, but
no, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. It's a podcast, right? But Chris Rock came and sat next to me. He said, "You're sitting here waiting for him. You know, you're probably thinking I'm going to leave. And I'm going to show him that, you know, that I am not to be pushed around. No, you will not get the job." And he was totally right. And I was sitting there and I was loving every second of it. And these guys over, there was like maybe 40 people in the outer office. And I heard them talking about Norm. I heard someone saying, Norm this, Norm that. I go, what, you guys talking about Norm? And it was 2 interns. And they said, Lorne Michaels went to see him last night at a comedy club. And he was really funny, we thought. And I go, oh, okay. Do you guys want to see a little bit of Norm's act? And they go, yeah. I'm the stranger in the office, you know, and they all knew each other, all interns and shit like that. And so I said, okay, where do we go? And I stood up and I started doing Norm's act because I knew it verbatim because we had been hanging out a lot, and it destroyed, absolutely blew the roof off, you know. And the door to Lorne Michaels' office opened. They wanted to see what the hell was going on out there. And one of the people said, oh, look, he's doing Norm Macdonald's act. And, oh, no, we're, keep it down or whatever. And he goes back in the office. But then it turns out that during my meeting, so Norm is funny, huh? Yeah, we thought so too. And I called Norm afterwards right away. I said, Jesus Christ, I just did your act. I just killed. Which ones did you do? Of course, he wants to know which bit, you know. But it's me, Bob, by the way, you know, that's the one. It was me, Bob, that bit. But anyway, I called him and I said, you gotta call. You gotta push it. They love you. And he got hired before I did. And obviously he was gonna get hired anyway because he's so damn talented, but it didn't hurt at all. I don't think. I killed as Norm. So we shared an office. That's how I feel.
That's awesome. Well, what was the hardest sketch for you to write on SNL? Like, because you know, there's some people you could write really, like I think you could write for Spade pretty good and Norm for good and Farley, but were there people where it was tough for you to write for because maybe you didn't understand their humor?
That's a really interesting question because that does happen where like Adam Sandler has there's a lot of nuance to what he does. It might not seem like it when you first look at it because he destroys. And when he's doing Lunch Lady Land with Farley, I mean, it's like it's destruction, which by the way, I'm in that. Norm and I are in that, but no one knows we're in Lunch Lady Land where Farley's dancing around and he's Adam singing over like garlic bread and the banana. No one recognizes it back there. We're all dressed up. But there's like there's like a personality behind the comedian a lot of times, and if you don't quite have it, the voice in your head, it makes it difficult to write for them. Whereas like someone like Farley, for instance, if you have him screaming and you have him getting soaking wet or something, you got this sheer destruction because he'll take it on home. But maybe some people it was finding that voice and finding that thing that makes them funny, and I don't have it my own. I have to definitely ride coattails. So Adam would be one of the tougher ones. And then I studied and I studied and I studied, and we ended up writing Grown Ups 1 and Grown Ups 2 together, and the movies. And I saw what he did. I saw how he did it. It's I'm not kissing ass. It's fucking brilliant. It's just crazy. Just because there's a nuance to it that you don't understand. And I thought okay, actually, you know what? Since you asked, I love this question so much. God damn it, sorry. Is that when I first heard that I might be able to get on there, even as a guest writer, I turned on the show, Saturday Night Live, and I was studying the sketches, going, what is it about these sketches? What is it that makes this show so much different than, say, Carol Burnett's show or whatever, those old sketch shows? And I came to Jack Handey is one of the writers on SNL. People know Deep Thoughts by Jack Handey. It's a real writer. His stuff is so out there and so esoteric that I said, "Oh, I don't know if I'll make it on the show," because they understand why that's funny. And I knew it was funny, but I couldn't figure out why it was funny. Toonces the Driving Cat, I still don't understand it. But my God, is he a good writer? I loved writing with him. Like, he wrote his own sketches, but I loved writing with him. And I never did figure out how he did what he did. It was just a weird twist of the phrase. Whereas Norm comes in and boom, knows Jack Handey right away, understands it. And sometimes it's proclivity towards something. Spade is someone I know inside and out. I know his comedy. It's really easy to write for him, for me, to write for him. And of course, he makes it funnier. As always, all these guys make it funnier. That was a great question. I gave a long-winded answer to basically saying,
Sandler.
Yeah, Sandler. Yeah, I could have just said, I said Sandler. Bill Murray would be hard to write for me.
Yeah.
Because there's just something really interesting and offbeat about it, and he knows what he wants to say. And I don't know. I don't want to piss anybody off, but we're all brilliant. And Dana Carvey, I don't know. Yeah, they're all great.
Carvey seems like he'd be tough to write for because he likes to do the impressions, and like when you do impressions, you kind of like to do what you have in your head to say. You know what I mean? Like, say if you're doing an impression of John F. Kennedy, you talk what John F. Kennedy would say, but if you're writing certain jokes, you're in the moment. You're like, I don't want to say the joke you wrote. I want to say what John F. Kennedy's going to say.
That's right. That's right. That's a good point. Yeah. And plus he gets into the rhythm of it, and this is true. It sounds like I'm salivating over all these guys. It just so happens every person you mentioned actually is a comedy genius, and Dana is one of them.
And they all love you. That's what they all have in common. Common genius, love Fred Wolf.
I don't know about that, but Dana and I were writing something. He was up in Carmel. I opened for him the other night, and he killed, of course, and I struggled, of course. But we were writing something, and I gave him the bare bones of an idea, and then he riffed on it and did it on stage and destroyed. It was like maybe a half hour later, just destruction, adding all his own stuff and going off on it. It was Bill Clinton talking to Obama, the two presidents, and he just did the whole thing, destroyed in front of a crowd, and all I had said was one little thing, one little premise idea, and he went with it and had like the new 6 minutes, So
yeah, that's awesome. You're doing comedy more and more. I've been trying to get you to do comedy with me. Like when I have a headlining show, I always hit you up, say, "Hey, Fred, you want to do a set?"
Yeah, which I want to, and it's really nice of you. If you ever came up to Monterey, there's a big club in Monterey. I'm there. I'm in a heartbeat. I'd love it because Hollywood, I mean,
sucks.
It's changed. It's changed a lot, right? I mean,
yeah.
What's going on down there? What's happening?
I don't know. It's I find the crowd's just better on the road, like in the most random places too. For some reason, maybe because they don't see comedy all the time, so maybe they appreciate it more. I feel like Hollywood, they see it all the time, so maybe it's just like another Friday night, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder if that's tell me some of the places that you feel like the audiences are good on the road. I want to see if they match up with what
I really liked Sacramento. I liked Fresno, and I tour with TJ Miller now, so I did Houston with him a couple weeks ago. I loved it.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah.
Is Sacramento still is it the Last Laugh? Oh no, Laughs Unlimited. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Is it?
Wait, maybe it was called Punchline. It was something like that. Yeah.
Oh, because Punchline in San Francisco, I'm sure it's the same owner, I would imagine, was one of my favorite audiences ever. And other places in San Francisco I had a little struggle time.
Yeah.
But what about Minneapolis?
I haven't done that in a long time.
Okay.
I don't remember. I'm sure it's still pretty good though. But
Okay, because that was yeah. I'm seeing if we can, I don't know how many years, 20 years since I did it all the time.
Florida's great.
Florida, never been there, never did.
Oh, that's
Only
great.
people-
Yeah,
I
it could, if people aren't in the audience, you can invite alligators to watch your set.
they are there, and I would say that for me, New Jersey. I lived in New Jersey in first grade or whatever, and I grew up in New York City. I kind of have the rhythm of the East Coast. I can do it, but man, I ate it so hard. It's really hard to get complete silence, but I did
Yeah.
silence. And then Mitchell Walters came on after me and blew the roof off. That was the worst by far ever week of gigs I ever did. And then Norm struggled there too, which again made me feel better. It always makes me feel better when the geniuses struggle. But then Minneapolis was my best crowd, and Sacramento also. Yeah, there used to be 2 clubs in Sacramento,
Yeah.
and that's where my daughter is FBI now.
Yeah, that means if anything happens, you could call her up and say, "Hey,
Take me off the no-fly list that you just
Yeah.
put.
Well, you know what's actually good about your daughter being in the FBI is if you're writing, if you know, I know you write a lot of comedy, but if you ever write like a script that involves like FBI agents and stuff, you could call her and ask her like some stuff on like, you know what I mean, like how to. Because I wrote a thriller, and what I did was I talked to a cop at the Fountain Valley Police Station, just like, it was basically about kidnapping thing. And I just wanted to know what would the procedures and stuff would they do and all that stuff. He gave me good advice. Like I actually interviewed about him. So I thought, that's how I wrote that script kind of.
It's funny because her mentor, Molly's mentor, I love Sarah. She's my other daughter. I love them both equally, but we're talking about Molly right now.
Yeah.
Her mentor is this guy named Mike Sanborn. He is a badass of all badasses. He used to be special forces. Then he was FBI agent, just taking down the bad guys, just unfucking believable. And one day we were talking, and suddenly he knows comedy. He's throwing out like a line from somebody's act or whatever. And I thought these guys were like mini gods. But suddenly he's telling me I laugh at comedy. I'm like, what the fuck? You're human. Because this guy, crazy. But comedy kind of cuts through everything, but then there's a lot of different types of comedy, and I didn't have any of them.
Yeah.
I just didn't have a solid take on any aspect of comedy. And so I kind of stopped doing it. And so, lately I've been going on stage just to try a couple of new jokes and stuff, but I'm just not that good. And you are.
I totally disagree. I think you're great. And I think, I saw a set where you were mentioning Bruce Baum, and you're like, so I was talking to Bruce, and I was like, Bruce, how's the crowd? He's like, they're great. I was like, are you sure they're great? Like, you're all nervous, and then you're doing this joke for 2 minutes, and then you're like, okay, I'm just kidding, audience. Bruce said you guys sucked. He's just really good. Like, I thought that was so great.
Well, thanks for saying that. The one thing I say in that run there, I go, you guys are a great crowd. I'm not trying to suck up to you, although if it happens, it happens. But it was something I did one time on a TV show that he was hosting, Bruce Baum, and I had cleared it with him beforehand. And I'm thinking, wait a second, I'm sitting here calling him an asshole and telling him I beat him up and all this sort of stuff. And I never really told him, hey, I may be doing this bit. It's funny, right? And he was so fucking cool afterwards. But that was on the A-list. You saw me doing on the A-list?
I don't know. I just saw it on YouTube. I don't know what show it was on, but
yeah, well, that's nice. You guys are nice. Victor's nice too. It's not just you. It's not just you. Victor's
it's not
nice.
just me. Victor actually has a great question he wanted to ask you.
I have 3 questions, but I guess only one of them is great. No, this ball buster over here. I'm just like,
That was an effortless ball bust too.
Oh, I know, seriously.
Yeah.
Jesus. Um, okay, so this is a script writing question. So, what is the most important aspect of a script that must be present on page one?
Wow. Man, these are fucking great questions. I'm swearing, by the way. Sorry
Yeah,
about
yeah.
No,
That's a
that's great. That means you're keeping it real.
that. Well, fuck. Let's see. Fuck. No, let's see. Uh, so you're saying like, oh man, I love this question. God dang. So you're thinking like about page one, not the first line necessarily, but something
No,
on page.
I mean it could be the first line if you think that's like the most important aspect. Like okay, so if you're reading like if I'm like, oh hey, we hit it off. Can you read my script? You know, by page one, like you need to see something on there for you to go to the next
to
page and
go to
read on.
page two. Yeah.
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 So
Oh God.
what would be something that like just get your attention? That like I mean not get your attention, but like it has to be present on page one in order for the reader to get behind the script, so to speak.
Victor, God damn, I love this question. Jesus Christ. And I don't know. I hope your listeners aren't bored out of their minds because God damn, I could talk about this all day because that is where I have my Asperger's, literally. Uh, oh God, I love it so much because there is a giant difference. For me, it's the first 5 or 6 pages. That's where I see it if I'm going to see it. And by the way, who the fuck am I? But I person who I've done a few movies, and so I'm going to go ahead and pretend I'm an expert and tell you that I would like. I have every script that I've loved has sold or gone into like bidding wars. Um,
Oh wow.
Friends of mine send me them or whatever, and I have some friends that will send me well, this is a good one. A friend of mine sent me a script. This guy named Pete Kalki, he sent me a script that he wrote with this buddy of his, Jerry Swallow. By the way, both stand-up comics at one point. And I read the script and I felt terrible because I wanted to be honest with Pete. And he's one of my best friends. And I had to say, I just don't know. I don't think it's there. There's something missing, the reality of it. I don't know where the comedy's coming from. It kind of bounces off. And I felt terrible saying it. And I said, yeah, with the first 5 pages, you kind of know that it's not really a premise. It's not that there's funny stuff. And I'm so sorry. And I could be so fucking wrong. And I'm so sorry. Okay. They wrote a second script and they sent it to me. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? One of my best friends in the world. So what am I going to do? I read the script and I started going, what the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my God, what the fuck? And as I read, I got to page 12 and I said, this is a fucking masterpiece. There's no way. The ending can't even ruin it. And then I kept reading. I go, hey, Pete, I called him. Pete, this is like incredible. And absolutely fucking incredible. If this doesn't sell, I'll quit the business. And it went into bidding war, absolute bidding war, not off of my say so. They sent it out and everybody wanted it. And it was definitely the first 5 or 6 pages. I knew I was hooked into something new. Yeah. That's weird. That's a good question, man.
That honest critique though, right there. I mean, Jesus. I'm like, that wasn't even about me. And I'm like, I'm gonna go look at these other scripts again before I ever send them out again.
It was hard being brutal again. Plus, I always say, and it's true, I could be wrong. I actually had this kind of funny story. I think well, that's not that great, but a friend of mine came up to me at Broadway Video. Shows you how long ago this was, and he was telling me about how the studio was pushing around. The studio wants this, studio wants that. Fred, I was thinking about you because you fight with the studio all the time. I was thinking, so this is the scene they wanted, and then I said no, and I stuck to my guns. All right. Anyway, nice seeing you. I go, yeah, nice seeing you. And I walk away, and I'm thinking, oh man, the studio was right on that one.
Yeah.
The writer was wrong, I thought, and it turns out that was the case. But I look back on my side and I say, how many times I've fought for something that's just brutally bad. I'm sure many, many times, but every once in a while, there's something I fight for and I say, okay, this is good. But usually it comes off the page right away to everyone who reads it, usually, if it's real solid. Yeah.
Now, when you do a movie that you wrote and you're also directing, like Drunk Parents, for example, like how much of the script do you rely on it, or do you change it up as you're directing? Because you know what's there.
Thanks again for asking. Drunk Parents is one that's near and dear to my heart in that's one of the scripts I sent out. Everybody wanted to do it. I sent it to one person. And then from there on, an actress, and she gave it to all the other people. and everybody that read it that I know of wanted to do it. But then shooting the movie, a blizzard, the third biggest blizzard in New York history, they said, hit on day 11 of the shoot, and it was a 30-day shoot, and it was crazy from then on how we had to just change all the locations and change this because the snow was up there. It was really, really difficult to do that. And sometimes I wish on a movie we could have like a credit crawl along the side and say, here's what happened during the filming. If you hated this, maybe it's because they found that location an hour before they shot there, stuff like that. But I did love that script, I have to say. I wrote that with Pete, the guy that I was just talking about. Sent me those scripts. We wrote that together, and it was pretty solid. I very, very proud of it. But the final mix of it was just brutal because of that snow. It just changed everything. So
I have a script I want to write with you, and here's the idea. Like a guy, he just found his girlfriend cheating on him, so he's depressed and he wants to end his life. And as you know, it's really hard to end your life. So like you have to be really strong to do that. So he hires a professional hitman, and the hitman comes, and then he like falls in love with the girl. He's like, oh wait, I don't want to die now, I want to be with it. So he has to out hit the hitman. So I think that could be kind of funny.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Yeah. Where'd you get that idea?
It just came to me. I've been writing that's the script I've been writing, and like I want Fred Wolf. You got it too?
Yeah, it's in my notebook already. So I already got it done. So thanks so much. Wait, drop that. You come up with a different idea. You'll be fine. But I already have that one. That's a really good idea, Keith. It's a really good idea.
Keith, did you steal that idea?
I didn't steal that idea. Well,
No,
it wasn't seriously in your book, Fred?
No, I'm pretending it was so I could get that idea from you. Yeah, that's a good idea. Man, when you get a good premise, you kind of know it, it just, there's something about it. And then it's the execution is halfway decent. It goes. What is, like, Victor and Keith, like, can you name two of your favorite comedies? Like, and don't bother saying mine or anything like that. Just be nice.
Comedy movies?
Yeah. So like just roughly off the top of your head for a variety of reasons, just,
Oh, okay. So I like Clue and I like Weekend at Bernie's.
Okay. How about you, Victor?
Mrs. Doubtfire and God, I forgot the name of the movie with Rodney Dangerfield. Meet Wally Sparks.
Back to school. Oh, I was thinking Back to School.
Everyone says Back to School, but I like Meet Wally Sparks better. I saw that one first.
It's because Harry Basil directed that, and he wants to work with Harry Basil at the.
I didn't even know about that. I liked the movie before I even knew that he was part of that booking crew.
I remember watching him do comedy back in the day. Yeah. See, you guys just named like such disparate, different movies. Like Miss Doubtfire versus. It's so funny. There's just so many different senses of humor out there. And what is it that just in its sum total just works? It's very, very hard to pin it down ahead of time, and you got to go with your gut, I guess, or whatever. But then my gut's wrong all the time. So that's so interesting. Yeah.
But what are your movies then?
Yeah. What are your movies, Fred? The ones that you haven't written.
The ones I haven't written. I love very much Bridesmaids and Hangover. I think those are two really good movies.
Yeah.
Both on. And I love them both as commercial comedies. I have like In Bruges. It's a very, very nuanced comedy. I love that. But talking about big and commercial, those are two, I think, really good examples. And Paul Feig directed Bridesmaids, and he was a stand-up comic. Us stand-up comics have a little bit of an edge, I think.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Comedy screenplays. So,
Well, it doesn't even have to be comedy screenplays. I think stand-up comics kind of know how to tell a story because it's kind of like telling a joke, like, the premise and all that stuff. So I think that they're really good at that,
Yeah, I think so. I think, and then, yeah, also you were asking like what stands out on the page initially is if it's a comedy, a joke, obviously, a couple jokes, the type of jokes. And if you see something really interesting, you say, okay, this is a good writer, or there's going to be some good stuff. Norm was a very, very good writer, like a really good writer, but he didn't want to sit down and bang out 100 pages, He wanted
he made me do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I was taking dictation.
we were writing a Dirty Work 2, or we were trying to write Dirty Work 2, and like we were at his house, and so my idea of Dirty Work 2 was you should know the story because you wrote it too, but Sam's sister has breast cancer, so now they have to come up with money to get her operation for breast cancer. So we were writing it, and Norm was telling me all these jokes, and I'm just typing away, and then I thought maybe he was going to write or like polish it. He didn't do a thing. So it's just like,
Yeah. The only thing though is that if you ever got it up on its feet, up and running, he adds that stuff that makes it unbelievable. So, in Dirty Work, Frank Sebastiano wrote on it too, and we wrote on it too. It was his script, what I'm talking about. But Norm didn't do a lot of work, on the writing side, but on his feet, oh my God, he added all this stuff. Added all kinds. He's just one of those guys. We talked about this. Sorry, last time is Norm never wrote stuff down. I never saw anything written down.
No, never.
Sounds like it carries forward on the screenwriting side too. Have you ever seen any part of that written out anywhere?
Never. I mean, no. I saw it when we were doing the show. He would write stuff, but he wouldn't stick to, because he had a podcast, he had a Netflix show. He wouldn't stick to it. He would just write it, and then like say if he has a card that says, "Oh, ask Drew Barrymore a question," he wouldn't stick to it. He would just talk to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then after a show, then I remember he'd be like, "Oh wait, can you guys turn on the camera? I have to ask Drew Barrymore a question."
Yeah. He's in a kind of class against his own stuff. He definitely did things different. Absolutely did it his own way, but it worked. It was part of his personality. We really did share an office at SNL, and it was actually Norm and also Beavis and Butthead.
Mike Judge.
Thank you, Jesus.
Asperger's.
Yeah, and trying to think of it was Mike Judge. It was Norm, Mike Judge, Adam Sandler, and Chris Rock. Oh, and David Spade. Sorry, and David Spade. So three. So we had a bigger office like that. And because it was those six in there, everybody came into that office. I was the dud of the bunch. But I just remember sitting there with all these guys. Mike Myers was in there, Dana Carvey was in there. There was just all these people. And I just said, I am nowhere near their performing level. Nowhere near. Not even close, not in the same ballpark. But I know how to write for him and him and him.
Yeah.
I started doing that. And Norm was one of the guys that said, I can write for Norm. I can do that. And he kind of sensed it too about me. So we wrote a lot of stuff together. We wrote a lot of sketches together, but he didn't write. You're right. He didn't have a pencil in his hand ever.
Yeah.
And he didn't type, but he was a genius of all geniuses.
Definitely.
Yeah, go ahead.
My question was, I was going to say, when you were on SNL, and you don't have to say names or anything, but was there a time where you were writing for somebody or something, and you just thought, like, just had so much frustration because you thought maybe your juices aren't on the same level, or maybe, you guys just don't understand each other's humor or something. It just frustrated you? Because when I wrote for Norm's show, I thought I was the best writer to write for Norm, but I thought I was the worst writer on the staff. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. But if you felt tuned to Norm, and obviously you were, because he would not have brought you along if you weren't, well, then you were right, if it was for him. But so what would they indicate to you that made you think you weren't?
I don't know, just like, because I've never sold anything, so I'm just a stand-up comic, so maybe they didn't think I was a real writer or whatever. But like, I just didn't. I didn't enjoy that. Like, I enjoyed writing scripts, but I didn't enjoy writing. So I guess that's where the frustration for me was, because I was like, I mean, they're all good guys, but I remember I'd submit it and I'd be like, fuck all these guys. You know what I mean? Like,
sure, yeah. I understand. Now I understand what you're saying. And for sure, Spade, I love writing for Spade. We've done 6 or 7 movies together. And like when I see it, anyone sees it written out. Spade's got a very unique. So if you think about it, he does really well, of course, he kills. But what's he really saying up on stage? It's him. It's his take on stuff. It's the way he says things. And so on the page, sometimes the scripts that we write together don't look that funny because they're not picturing him delivering the lines and stuff.
Right.
So a couple arguments with the studios have occurred over me saying, like a fucking asshole, I'm saying, you guys are wrong. This is funny. Wait, you'll see. So that can happen definitely on shows where there's producers running around and they don't know what I just told you. They don't know that Norm has a certain way of delivering certain lines that don't look that funny on the page sometimes, but they're him. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the business is filled with, there's some egotistical people in that business. And so if you say you didn't have experience, they would want to pile on. A couple guys, when they're anxious, they want to pile on somebody. I'm sorry that you had to go through that because that's the last thing you need to hear when you are starting out. But a lot of times it's bullshit. If Norm brought you on, they should go with that. Anything that makes. So yeah. Anyway, I've had that happen a lot, and Spade is one of the clearest examples of stuff that just doesn't look that funny on the page. And I've heard from producers and studio heads and stuff like that we don't find this that funny, and then it's turned out just fine. So yeah.
Victor, you got another question for Fred Wolf?
Yeah, absolutely. Which do you enjoy more, writing screenplays or scripts for sketch comedy television or for movies?
Man, I love all your questions. I love them both so much. I know it's such a pat answer, but I love it so much. I miss writing sketches. I started writing one the other day that I started liking. And I have a story about my first sketch ever, and I have a story about my first screenplay ever. And I would try to keep it short. I can tell you really quick.
No, we're on your time. I want to respect your time. So if they're long, tell us.
Oh shit. Okay, so I had never written a sketch in my life, and Rob Schneider said, "Hey, you know what? You should send a sketch in, and I'll try to get it to the head writers." And I basically almost said, "What's the sketch? Like, how do I?" He said, "Just write 10 pages and make it funny. Whatever. You're a funny guy." We met in Sacramento actually at the Laughs Unlimited, and back in the '80s, and so late '80s because we're really young. But anyway, my birthday. I've heard 4.0 is rough, but so far so good. But anyway, so I was staring at the TV set. I told you Saturday Night Live, going, what is it? How's it work? How's it work? And then I wrote this sketch, and it just kind of flowed out of me. It was called Mr. Belvedere Fan Club, and it was just a bunch of yahoos that are fans of Mr. Belvedere. Do you remember that TV show that used to be on?
Yeah.
And so I go, I wonder if it's good. I sent it out to Rob. Rob gave it to this guy Jim Downey, and then Jim Downey, he called about Rob Schneider called about maybe a month later, say, hey, he liked it. He wants you to come out and do a guest writing stint. So I go, oh, great. So I go out and be a guest writer. And the first host, for 2 weeks, the first host is Jerry Seinfeld. And I show him the sketch, Mr. Belvedere. And he reads it. I know him from stand-up comedy. And he reads it and he goes, it's not my thing. Not my thing. I'll read it at the table if you want, but it's not my thing. I wouldn't want to do it on the show. And I go, oh, damn. I go, sure. Oh, that's fine, Jerry. I get it. I walked away, just brutalized. The second week, Tom Hanks was the host and gave him the sketch. He read it. He goes, I love it. Let's do it at the table. Read at the table. It destroyed, which my stuff never destroys. It fucking blew the roof off. And so it got on the show. My favorite musician of all time at that point, I had 3 posters on the wall, Bruce Springsteen. He's the musical guest. They're doing my sketch, and Springsteen is getting ready. He's warming up to be the music on the show, and I see him laughing off camera. He's laughing at my sketch. Bruce Springsteen is, and the sketch went over fine. It was a full cast sketch, and then people were coming up to me after the show, including Bruce Springsteen. Funny sketch. I heard you knew you're great. Hanks, all these people said stuff, and everyone said, "Oh man, you're going to be hired. You're going to be hired." But then summer came, fall came, and I wasn't hired. And so a year went by and they didn't want me. And I didn't know what happened. And then I was doing stand-up comedy on the road. I was trying to, apply to stuff, get money and so forth, and make a living. And how it is, middle act, $300 at best, middling, down in New Orleans, stuff like that. And one day, after a year and a half, in the 7-hour period, I got 3 phone calls. The Chevy Chase show, Conan O'Brien show was just starting up, and Saturday Night Live.
Oh my
3
God.
all wanted me. I had
Awesome.
said yes to Chevy because it's Chevy Chase on the phone.
Yeah, you can't say no to Chevy Chase.
Yeah, he was the man. He was yeah, I idolized the guy back then, and great guy. But so I did that. I took Chevy, and then Chevy himself, after 2 months of pre-production, came to me and said, you might want Saturday Night Live. That's what you really want. I know that, and you should go because I don't think the show's gonna last. And so I went out to Saturday Night Live, and I took that job. And over the 4-year period, I rose up and became head writer. That's great. And Jim Downey got me Tommy Boy as a writer of that movie. And so I got one sketch, got me Saturday Night Live and my first movie, but it took a year and a half of me just going, why did they fucking hate me?
Yeah.
And then just to cap the story, the 40th anniversary of SNL was a few years ago. I was flying out someone else's private jet, not mine. And on the thing,
Sandler's.
It was Sandler and a few guys on the jet, and we were flying out, and there was a Rolling Stone magazine top 50 sketches of all time at Saturday Night Live, and there was Mr. Belvedere.
Yeah.
Right?
Awesome.
Tell me that's not fucking crazy.
That's great.
Crazy.
Oh
So,
my God.
Oh my God.
So I actually do have 3 more questions. They're fast, but I wanted to tell you a quick Jim Downey story because I saw him at Norm's funeral, and I've been trying forever to get him on the show, but I just can't find info on him. And I was like, oh, so I didn't like introduce myself because I thought that would be very inappropriate to do it at a funeral. But now, like looking back, I'm thinking maybe I should have. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to ask your thoughts. Like that's borderline inappropriate, right?
At Norm's funeral, he flew out from New York to go to the funeral too, and I felt I was in Montana, and when Jim told me he flew out, I thought, well, why didn't I fly down from Montana? But my daughter was up there going to school because of lockdowns that were your fault, all this COVID bullshit. But I think it's probably okay that you didn't walk up to him at Norm's funeral, only because Jim is like he's a legend.
Yeah,
he's amazing. And then he also he was really, really shook up by Norm's passing, and yeah, but for a guest on your show, he's not the type to he doesn't self-promote at all, but he would do your show if I told him how fun it was. I think.
That would be awesome, Fred. Yeah. But I guess what I'm trying to say is because like I knew Norm loved Jim, and I knew I knew that the relationship because Norm would always talk about it. So like I knew how Norm felt about me. So a sense of me says Jim would have loved that attitude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm still glad I didn't. You know what I mean?
I think, yeah. I mean, yeah. But not because I don't know. Jim, he was, that was rough. That was rough on all of us. Norm was a rough one. But yeah, there's a connection, I'm sure. And he was a Jeopardy answer recently. Jim Downey was.
Yeah.
And I love it, because he was the head writer at Letterman. When Lauren took a break from SNL back in the day, Jim just popped over and became the head writer of Letterman. What the fuck? I mean, Jesus, this guy, unbelievable. Every time we would go to dinner, just he and I'd be sitting there thinking, "What the fuck do you want to hang out with me?" He's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
All right, so we got a couple Twitter questions. These are fast because we want to respect your time. Are you good on time, or?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So, Fred, how many times have you seen the Globetrotters?
Oh shit! I saw him. What a great McKeesport, Pennsylvania, outside of Pittsburgh. High school. Why?
Oh, I think they're making a Little Nicky reference.
Oh shit! Sorry. Yeah. Dana Carvey was the referee in that. Oh shit! I did one line on Little Nicky. That was a blast, though. By the way. I missed it. Sorry. I love the Globetrotters. Middle Earth Lemon. He's my man. I'm a football player.
And this one says, Fred, is there any chance of a Joe Dirt 3 or a Grown Ups 3?
Wow. I love all these questions. Every single question was amazing. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Spade sent me one of the best things ever about 3 days ago. I got so excited. We'll see what happens, but I'm not supposed to say anything. Okay. But yeah, I'd love it. And then And I Grimes 3 too. Man, that's so perfect. Sorry, I'm being all cryptic. It's because I'm
Yeah,
so, I don't want to be superstitious. I don't want anyone to think I'm a big shot at all. But
there's always hope, I guess, is the answer, right?
can you imagine if I said that though? Oh, God. Maybe you guys are lucky. We'll see. We'll see. Hey, hey, can I tell you stand-up comedy thing really quick? Really,
Of
really quick.
course, yeah.
Okay, so I hadn't done it for a long time, and I was up in Montana, like I told you, doing watching my daughter go to high school there because of lockdown here, and I said I'm gonna go do the open mic night or whatever it is, this local club, yeah.
You did it?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I did, but I'm gonna make it short. Thank you for the reaction you gave me because I was excited to do something up there in Montana, and I've been there many times in Montana, but I just wanted to do comedy, and so I went by there around 4 o'clock. The show was at 8. Excuse me, around 5 or 6 o'clock, and there were some comics hanging around, and I look homeless, I get it, and my hair actually looks okay right now, but a lot of times I look kind of rough. And I walked up and I go, "Hey, there's a comedy night tonight." And they go, "No, not really." They're blowing me off like that. And I go, "Oh, but it said comedy tonight. I was wondering, is there someone I can call and maybe get on and do a few minutes or something?" No. And they go back to talking like that. And I go, "Jesus Christ." I go inside the club and the bartender blows me off hard. I go, "Is there someone that books the comedy show tonight?" And the guy go, "I don't know anything about that." So anyway, did you need something to drink or are you going to be, leaving? It was like that. And then this woman at the bar, she looks over at me and she says, "This isn't an open mic night. This is like, we're comics." And they were so fucking rude.
Yeah.
So rude. So I decided, okay, I'm not gonna go on because everyone is rude and all that kind of stuff. And I had my feelings hurt. But my nephew was on his way down by bus, Andy Wolf. And he was coming by bus. And I call him and I go, "This club sucks. Fuck this place." And he goes, "Well, I'm on my way." "What?" "I'm on the bus. 1,200 miles I've come." He came like 2 miles. And so I go, "Oh shit. All right, well, let's go in the club and we'll see what happens or whatever." But they were all assholes to me. And so the club starts, it's a packed house or like that. And I see the person that books the club. I could tell she's the MC too. And I said, "I just wanted to go on stage, but you probably don't want me on stage." And she goes, "You're Fred Wolf. I know you. You're Fred Wolf." I go, "Oh, yeah, I've seen you do comedy. We had a bunch of comics drop out. Do you want to do time? As much as you want." And I go, "Oh, okay." And so by now, I don't brag ever. I
Yeah.
went on fucking stage mad as fuck with a big smile on my face. And I brought out every fucking bit I have. I got every fucking local reference I could like that. And I fucking annihilated.
Oh my
And
God, I'm so proud.
I got a standing ovation, and people were handing me drinks as I walked through the audience after saying, "Thank you, good night." And one of the guys that was the rudest to me hugged me and in my ear, and Andy Wolf heard him say it, goes, "I am so sorry. I was such a fucking asshole to you. I didn't know you were somebody." And so we got out. All those, yeah, right. And to all those comics, I said, "You guys, I'm so sorry. You really hurt my feelings, all the stuff you said. And thank you for saying you're sorry." But the thing is, if I had just starting, if I was an open micer for real, you guys, I might have never done it before. And down in LA, if you act that way, you're going to be crushed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Crushed. And it was nice to apologize, but what the fuck? Why were they so mean? Anyway, boy, did I annihilate.
That's an awesome story. And Fred, I want you to know, if I ever become like a big, big name, and I take you on the road, because I will. If anyone ever treats you like that, you let me know, and I'll be like, "Listen, do you guys know this is comic god Fred Wolf?" Like I would always 100% be in your corner, and I'm sorry they did that to you. I've had that happen to me, but I'm not a name, so
No,
like
that happened to me. I thought it was because I was fat and Mexican, and like you're not any of those things. So that like people are just assholes. People are dicks. I did this gig, and before I did the gig, people were looking at me like, "Oh, who's this fat Mexican?" Because everybody was like, like white, and I was the young person there. And so I did my set, and then everybody comes up to me afterwards like, "Oh my God, you're so funny. Can I buy your album?" And I'm like, "You're a dick." Before I went on stage. What? So because I'm funny now, you want to be my best friend? Fuck you. Where's the coke at?
Victor, I'm not just saying this. I've known Keith a while. I swear to God, I'm not just saying this. You radiate goodness. I swear to God, it's true. So does Keith.
Oh, thanks, man. You do too. Keith, I was nervous. He's like, yeah, dude, you know Fred Wolf, right? You know, he's the head writer on SNL, and he wrote Tommy Boy, and he wrote Black Sheep, and he wrote Grown Ups and Grown Ups. And I'm like, okay, Keith, you're making me really fucking nervous, man. You're making me really nervous. I'm gonna have to take a bunch of edibles before the show to make sure that if everything comes off. I'm like, no, don't worry, I'm on a bunch of edibles. I'm not really that nervous. He's like, no, trust me, he's super cool. And then he was right. He was really right. And like, I've had them say that before, and they weren't really that nice to me, or they were busting my balls, or they called Keith fatty. And so, and it's so great because I'm way fatter than Keith, and he didn't call me fatty. So that was so, I would laugh so hard. Sorry.
You both that's really funny. That's very nice of you. You both have the it factor, just so you know.
So we have 2 more quick questions.
You just asked like 5.
Yeah, but Fred, can we ask these 2 real fast?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So question number 1. Fred, did you ever use the Alec Baldwin joke?
I'm trying to think what that means.
I know what that means. This is a listener who listened to the show last time. I gave you a great Alec Baldwin story.
Oh, shit. Okay.
It was his brother Daniel, and I saw him, and I was like, oh, has anyone ever told you look like Alec Baldwin? And he's like, yeah, my name's Daniel Baldwin. And I was like, oh, has anyone ever told you have Alec Baldwin's last name?
Holy shit.
And then I Googled him, and it was his brother. So I was like, oh.
Which one? He's got 3 brothers, right?
Yeah.
Steve, Daniel, and
Billy.
Billy, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh no, I don't know. I just remember that as a South Park the movie reference.
Yeah,
from
no.
1999.
The 2 other sketches I had on that Rolling Stone top 50 of all time were both Alec Baldwin sketches, and that's why you did Drunk Parents. That's such a that's so funny. I can't believe I didn't tell him that joke. Because because it was snowing. I guess I forgot. But you have a very astute listeners, by the way.
Yeah. So I that was like my claim to fame. I was like, Fred Wolf's going to put that in his new movie, and and this question is, Fred, is directing Anna Faris easy?
Anna Faris, everyone's the showbiz answer is always like, oh, they're the greatest. She's the fucking greatest. It's crazy. I actually went after Penelope, didn't I? The director of Black Sheep. So believe me, Anna Faris was unfucking believable. Like unfucking believable. I want to say real quick, since you asked the question, is that in the movie she does that thing where when she meets somebody like Keith for the first time, to remember, I think, yeah. And I wrote the idea for it the day of we were shooting that scene, House Bunny, and I pitched it to her and I said, hey, what is that? And then she went straight to that voice there. It was huge. It became huge off that show. They played it, and that was all her. From me saying just say their name different or whatever odd, and she came up with that. She's so fucking great, but then she gives me credit all the time, and never takes credit for herself. It was her voice. Oh my God, she's good. Jesus Christ, she's great. So
awesome. This is the last question.
Real quick.
Okay.
Showbiz. This is Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt, they were going out at the time. They weren't married yet. And then they got married and we were at dinner, and Chris Pratt was telling me that in the newspaper it said D-lister marries A-lister on a Ferris, and he was devastated to hear them calling him that. Well, he had the last laugh on that one too, didn't he? Yeah. These people could be so fucking cruel, but it bothered him, and it would have devastated me. But he's such a fucking good guy. Why does it always happen to the good guys? All right, go ahead. Sorry, next question. Sorry.
And this is the last Twitter question. Fred, did you ever find out if Bill Pullman was your professor?
Oh, good memory. Yes, he was. I researched it. He was there the same year, which we said he was. He absolutely was at Montana State University. I love that. I love all your questions, but that listener is great. Yeah. Remember the recap of it? You remember, right?
I do. Yeah, I remember.
Assignment, and he was such a dick to professor that I dropped out of college. And then all those years later, he said, they worked there at Montana State where I was going at the time, blah, 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 blah. And he said, that's the kind of thing I did. That's the kind of asshole I was. That's why I quit being a professor. I went out and just fucking did it. And there he was hosting Saturday Night Live. Oh, I love that question. But yes, it was Bill Pullman for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fred, I want to respect your time, but I do have one more question.
You're like one of those comics. Okay, one last joke. This is the last joke.
Okay.
Last joke.
But this is like a philosophy question. I guess in a way, if you could go in a time machine and talk to a younger Fred Wolf, knowing what you know now, what would you tell him?
Oh man, that's a deep one, right? And see, if I was as funny as those guys we were talking about, I'd have something really funny to say. But I'm taking it at face value and saying this is a deep question.
No, it is a deep question. Yeah.
I would say my father was a sociopath, and I would say, just know that and understand that that's why you had so much trouble there, middle part of your life, dealing with that shit. Is that what basically I'm supposed to talk about that aspect?
Yeah. What you know now, and you're talking to a younger version of yourself.
Yeah. It'd be that, and also the hang in there thing. But man, that is a good question. So yeah.
I'm so glad you said that and you didn't say, don't do Keith Reza's podcast.
That would be a big waste of back in time stuff, wouldn't it? It was all about you. Dang.
Well, Fred, in all seriousness, thank you so much for your friendship. I love you very much, and thank you for everything you do for me. It means a lot to me.
Let's say hi to Norm. Seriously. I talk all the time to this guy. Up there where he's at. And Victor, it was great to meet Victor too.
It was great to meet you, Fred. You were awesome.
Radiates goodness, as I said. Keith, you do too, as you know. All right, you guys, thanks very much. And look at that. My t-shirt. Dig. Okay.
Happy birthday, Fred, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Fred.
All right, guys.
Great talking to you.
All right, guys. That was an interview with Fred Wolf. Subscribe, rate, review, and we'll see you guys next week.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.